Well, hello, good morning, great googly moogly, my friends. It is Friday. We have made it through a second week of this madness of me talking to a camera and you watching me first thing in the morning. Or, in the case of yesterday, maybe not quite first thing in the morning. Want to apologize for that. Got up yesterday, took care of my farm stuff, recorded my episode, uploaded it to YouTube, but in my tired stupor, I'd only had 1 cup of coffee instead of my usual 2. I forgot to hit the publish button, so sorry. A big thank you to Kevin. He's the one who messaged me and he was like, "Did you post one of these today? Because I can't find it." So thank you to him. He's the one who found the mistake. Who knows how long we might have gone. Might have been 9 months from now and suddenly yesterday's episode gone live for some weird reason. So, yeah, sorry. With that in mind, I've not really gotten any suggestions from you guys about products you like yet. So, we're gonna skip that for now, maybe hit that on Monday if I get some messages over the weekend. And today, I'm going to do a little bit of stuff about the things I have that I like. So, that's what we're gonna do today. Again though, happy Friday. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope your week is finishing out smoothly. Got a nice weekend ahead of you, so that'll be nice. But I'm gonna take a sip of this coffee really quick because it's one of the first things I want to talk about today. Oh, so good. So firstly, woohoo! Almost spilled my coffee. Sacrilegious. This wonderful mug that you see me using every day is made by a dear friend and craftsman of mine. His name is Michael Robinson. And he's a potter. He has MR Pottery for Michael Robinson Pottery, and he does all kinds of wonderful, fantastic, and amazing things. I am very, very slowly converting many of the dishes in my home to pottery created by him. So I really enjoy the work that he does. I think everything just looks really nice. This is one of his simpler designs. He does like lots of cool carving and artistry and stuff on it. The coffee I mentioned yesterday, I was super excited about my new coffee. Another one of my favorite companies, Big Water Roasters. They're in Wisconsin, like way up at the tippy top of Wisconsin, right next to the Great Lakes. They've got a bunch of different flavors and all of them are pretty amazing. And to be fair to all of the other small coffee roasters out there are hundreds and hundreds of small boutique coffee roasters all doing incredible work. But I have not tried all of you, so out of the ones that I have tried at the moment, this is one of my favorite companies and this is one of my favorite flavors. It's called Sea Smoke. It is not really salty, it is not really smoky. It's just what they call it. It's got this awesome octopus on it. But it is sort of a nice dark full flavor, which I really enjoy. But it's also really nice because it's not really bitter at all. Like it's a big, angry, dark coffee, but you don't get that bitter aftertaste. So one thing that I really like about that. So that's currently one of my favorite American companies there. So I've got a local craftsman and an American company doing American work. And then I talked to you yesterday about carved. So here are 3 of my 4 carved cases that I have. So here's one with a multi-piece inlay of different colors they're talking about. That's map of the earth. Looks really nice. But as you can see, this is relatively traditional wood. Like you could just buy slabs of 2x4s or whatever and veneer them to create pieces like this. Same for this. I believe this is a piece of walnut. And this is laser etched. It's probably kind of hard to see, but it's laser etched. It's a cool geometric line, or well, it's like a polygon geometric line that goes into like a real line, and there's tons and tons of detail in there because laser etches is cool and you can do all kinds of really cool stuff. And this is from like a particular artist. They've done a bunch of animals. They have a whole series of those. And this one is my favorite. So they have these like individual series, I think is what they call them. But these are like rough cuts and, you know, the fun, cool, nasty wood that you wouldn't use for nice projects. And so this is actually the edge of the wood, and then they lay it in with a bunch of colored resin, and they put it in a pressure cooker, and you cook it all down, and it compresses, and it fills in all the gaps and the holes, and it solidifies. You come out with a big block of wood attached to this cool, funky resin. It's called stabilizing wood, if you never heard of that. And so you get little bits of color and speck inside of spots of the chunk of wood. But this wood is all burled and knotty, and it just looks gorgeous. This is some of my favorite kind of wood. So it was super cool to see them find a way to take less than perfect wood and then slab it up and do this. Now the really cool thing is how unique these pieces are. So technically, every one of these is going to be unique and different just because the wood grain is going to vary, right? Like, not every piece of wood looks exactly the same. But for the most part, every one of these will have very similar color, a very similar grain pattern, and then of course the laser etch design, so that the design doesn't change. Each one of these is 100% completely unique, because it doesn't matter where you cut this burled chunk of wood or where you cut this hand stirred and laid resin, they're going to be very different, like very, very different. And so it's really cool to see things like this, and this is like one of my favorite pieces. And again, they try and get all their wood as locally as they can. They make all this stuff in Indiana. It's a teeny tiny factory. On the inside of the cases, this is the thing that I love, that's their logo, and at the time all of their employees signed it. It's like, that's like part of their logo. They didn't sign it directly, obviously, but that's a print of all the employees' signatures and then the little company logo on the inside of the case. Beautiful little maker's mark, wonderful touch. I love that. My coffee cup also has a maker's mark, but it's on the bottom, so I'm not going to spill my coffee to show you. Alright there, sorry about that sudden jump cut. The dogs believed they saw a squirrel, so there was a lot of noise there happening for a second. So next thing I want to talk about is this knife. Now, like, so this is where we're getting into that mostly American zone. Again, buy the nicest things that you can afford, but like, there comes a point where you have to make some sacrifices on some things. So this knife is from a company called CRKT, that is Columbia River Columbia River Knife and Tool, that's what it is. And it is an American company that sells knives based on American knife designers. This one is from a very, very famous man named Kit Carson. He had more than 40 years of designing knives. Sadly, he passed a few years ago, but this is based on his design. That's what CRKT does. They have an entire team of American knife designers. These are like people who sort of live on their own and work on their own and design knives, and CRKT buys the rights to build and make those knives. This is called the M402. It's an assisted opening knife. But I love it because, again, it's an American designer with American heritage and American pedigree, and it's made by an American company. But it's built in China, which, again, some people may not be super happy about that, but it helps keep the cost down. So this knife has wooden scales in burl, looks like a burled walnut almost, but I'm not entirely sure if they have walnut in China. But so it's a nice burled wood. The metal is extremely nice. I sharpened this blade just a little bit when I first got it and haven't had to sharpen it since, so it's holding an extremely nice edge. So the metal is very sharp. I've not had any problems with any of the mechanisms or any of the locks or anything. Like, the knife is extremely solid. This is a knife that easily I would expect to have paid, you know, $110 for or something if you were to get something like a bench-made version of this. But because CRKT is doing their actual manufacturing overseas, I think the MSRP on this is like $75, but you can find them on Amazon for like $50. So $50 for a really nice knife from an American company by an American designer, like, that's sort of like, well, okay, I've got two of my three things there. And I did contact CRKT. They actually sent me this knife. I contacted them about it before I bought it, because before I was going to buy one, because I was curious about the wood. And they say that even though these are manufactured in China, they are extremely strict on their quality control, and they make sure that all of the workers are paid well, and they make sure that all of the wood used on knives like this come from sustainable forests, and so they try and keep all that stuff as in check as possible. So I love that. And then finally, I feel like Oprah today, my favorite things. And finally I have this. So this is a French product, actually. It's a little notebook from a company called La Compagnie du Craft. So I guess LCDK. And I love this because it's not American made, but it fits basically everything else that I love. So this company started in like 1910 or something. Started right around the endish of World War One. And they were making these notebooks. They used to not have screw rivets, they used to have metal band clips. But they were making these notebooks all the way back then, 100 years ago, for forestry workers. So they were supposed to be just little notebooks that the Forestry Service could carry in to make notes on. And the company sort of stopped doing business for a little while. Also, a lot of these things, even though they were made for the Forestry Service, were carried into the trenches during the war. They were carried during World War II. So there's like a lot of history behind this company. And they're back up and running. They're making these notebooks again. And they're still in the bottom of the same building in Paris where the company started, using the exact same machines that were used 100 years ago to make these, which is super fun because they're kind of hard to get a hold of. Because the company has basically said, like, look, this is who we are. We have this machine, and we are going to make these notebooks. Our machine can only produce so many notebooks. So if we sell out of notebooks, we have sold out of notebooks. And I love that. They're not getting greedy and trying to expand and getting rid of who they are as a company, getting rid of their history just so they can make some more money. So I really appreciate that. Also, I love their construction. So as you can see, this one has weathered and aged a bit in my pockets. But the outside cover is paper, technically, but it's much more like cloth. It's more like really, really thick money than it is like cardboard. So that's why it's still together. It's been wet. I spilled coffee on it multiple times. The paper inside is slightly lined. It's this really nice natural brown color. They get all of their wood for their paper relatively locally. It's in France, and they, again, are very careful about using sustainable forestry techniques. All of the pages tear out. They're all perforated, so you can just tear the pages out. And then, of course, it's replaceable. So you just undo the little tack screw, it folds out, and then you can put new paper in it. And they sell lined paper and unlined paper and graph paper and bleached paper and whatever you want to put in here. The little outside of the cover comes in a couple of different colors. I've got the green one. I got a friend of mine a red one. So they're really nice and cool. And if you're not into the paper, they do sell them with a leather cover. But yeah, La Compagnie du Craft. Just super cool, ancient, old history sort of products, still made the way they used to on the same machines they used to, and they refuse to upgrade and go modern, and I love that so much. So I think that's all I have for you today. My coffee, my phone case, my cup, my little knife, and my little paper notebook. So don't forget, if you guys have anything you want to, tell me, you can leave me a comment, you can hit me up on Twitter. Thank you for listening to me rant ramble about some of the things I own that I'm happy to have. Please send me some of the things you own that you're happy to have. And otherwise, have yourselves a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend. I'll see you guys again on Monday.